Yes. What is the partisan song exactly?
Sag nicht kemo, als du gehst der letzte Weg. Never say that you are going the letzte, the last walk. Sorry, the last walk. I don't have the. If I had the lyrics, I would.
But you can sing it in your head.
I just know the first lyrics. My mother really knew it.
Well, when they call it the Partisans March or anthem like this, who were the partisans at that time? Who were they referring to? The partisans who were in the forest or who were fighting back?
Therefore, they were in the forest. They were fighting back. Many of them were Jews, and many of them were Polacks and as well as Russians. But many partisans were Jews that were able to escape the ghettos or simply able to escape as the Germans were moving into Poland. And the partisaner, that's what you say in Yiddish, partisaner. They, oh God, when I think of them, I remember meeting them, meeting some survivors when I lived in Poland.
Were these Jewish resistors like the French resistance?
That's correct. They were Jewish resistors.
Who were like a militia? Right, they were armed and they fought.
They were armed with whatever they could find.
Whatever weapons?
Whatever weapons they could find, yes.
Such as pistols?
There were some. That was a rare commodity, to have pistols. Usually it was just, what do you call it, neft, bakbukim.
Bottles?
Bottles made out of neft that they were able to
like a, what do they call, a Molotov cocktail?
Molotov, yes.
Like a little firebomb.
That's right.
And what kind of things would they bomb?
Patrols that would go by to. Gosh, not only patrols, but individuals that would be traveling. It's hard, you know what? It's very hard to speak in English. I'm sorry, I apologize.
What's your native tongue? What's your Mamalushan?
Yiddish.
From where?
From Poland. This was the first language that my parents taught me.
Of course. And what happened to your Polish life? What did they do, the Nazis, to the Jews of Poland?
That all I can't talk to you about what the Nazis did. I can just tell you what it was after the war in 1947, when the Jews that were able to return, they suffered severe anti-Semitism. I was kidnapped and brought into a church and baptized when I was 5-6 years old. And my parents had to lie about my age so I could go into a school. There was a school, and the school that had such tall towers, and there the Polacks, the youth, would throw and call us the most dirtiest names ever.
You mean you had tall fences?
Tall fences. Sorry, thank you for helping me out.
Okay. Sha'arim?
Very tall fences so that they couldn't get in. This was a special Jewish school that was, it's by Ort. Have you ever heard of Ort? Yes. So that was a school for children.
In Poland?
In Poland, in Legnica. That was the name of the town, called Legnica.
Was your family able to move back to their original home?
My father came to see. He used to have a very big horse, where horses were.
Stable?
A stable of horses. He was very wealthy. So he came to see if he could find anything. They threw him out, the Polacks. He almost got killed. But because my father at that time was a communist, he was spared. His life was spared. Yes, my mother never bothered to go back to Białystok. Never wanted to go back. She never even accepted any reparations because she said that was blood money. No. Yeah.
People seem to think that, well, if the Jews would just leave the Arabs alone, the Arabs would leave the Jews alone today. You moved to Israel. What did you learn from this experience?
When I moved to Israel, it was 1956. And what we had there, we lived in something that is known in Hebrew as ma'abara, made tents. We lived in tents. Our bathrooms are outside. Our water was outside. And no, many leave the Arabs alone. I know, my son, my son made Aliyah this year. He couldn't take what happened in Israel, so he went there. And he's in the process of making Aliyah.
After October 7th?
After October 7th, he went there in January. He told me that he lived, he had an Airbnb, what do you call it, Airbnb?
Yeah.
So the person in the Airbnb he lived in Yafo, was an Arab woman. And though she lives in Israel, she hates the Israelis.
The Arabs in Yafo are not happy living in a Jewish state.
From what she said, she was very unhappy. She does not like Israelis. She works for an Israeli company. She gets her living through them. But she wants a state. She wants Palestine. There is no place for Palestine in Israel. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What
I
about?
have no right to say that because I live here right now until next year.
Yeah, but for how long did you live in Israel?
I lived in Israel off and on 10 years because I keep going back. I went back. I came here in 1960, then I went back in 64, lived another 3 years, then came back, then went again to study at the Tel Aviv University. Yes, and I gave the same thing to my kids.
So this administration in Washington seems to think that a one state would be a solution now. They think
no way.
bringing the Palestinian former refugees from 1948, their grandchildren back into the state.
I'm sorry to be like that.
But never?
Never. They left. There were some that were thrown out, correct. My son told me some of the history, but I don't see, I don't know why, but I don't see coexistence. I want coexistence. I would love coexistence with Arabs that accept us as we are. But
not from their side?
think about what was found in Gaza, or is it what you call it, or Gaza? What do you?
You mean at the kibbutzim?
No, I am talking about Gaza. The learning materials that the youth is exposed to.
Educational materials, propaganda, weapons.
The same thing happens also in Israel.
Among the Israeli Arabs.
Among the Israeli Arabs.
Not all.
Not all. No, I did not say not. There are some that are very grateful to be part. Like the Druzim and the Bedouins. They are part of IDF.
And even regular Muslims who want to.
Yes. Yes. There are. It's just, I cannot. I guess I am very emotional when it comes to Israel. It's something that is inside of me.
What is Zionism, and why do the Democrats feel that it might be so bad to be Zionistic?
I am Zionistic. It is not bad being Zionistic. No way. No, I see myself as a Zionite. I am.
What does it mean to be Zionistic?
To believe that the land of Israel belongs to the Jews. It can be shared, but it cannot be given away. What I mean by that is that I don't mind sharing it, but there could not be another a Palestine state inside of Israel. Where would it go?
And how about one state with the Muslims
One
living?
state, Israel.
But for the Yesha and Aza?
Gaza. Gaza is not going to be Palestine. Hamas will not allow it. They do not want it.
What would they want it to be? A launching pad to conquer Israel?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. I believe that no matter how much, there is such hatred. I have seen so many interviews because I watch the Israeli channel. So many. Will there be peace? לקצת זמן. It won't be for always. It will be just if we do not destroy Hamas, they will come back.
Well, this administration is putting Israel in a straitjacket. They're withholding arms. They're forcing.
Not yet. No, they are not withholding arms yet. But this is, yes, it's in the horizon.
Well, in a few days. But they're forcing this ceasefire on the government.
There will be no ceasefire. I'm sorry. I know that there are hostages, and my heart goes out. But I believe that we should march to Rafah. This is my belief.
And if more casualties get created, how will that then reflect on the public image and the anti-Semitism against Jews in B'chutz La'aretz, outside the country?
Did you hear the rabbi said something about that it's rather to have a bad image?
Okay, but we have protests here on the streets. They come in 2020 in this very park. They launched a pogrom on Beverly Boulevard and Fairfax Avenue.
When? In 2020?
Yes. In May, this very month in 2020, right? In the interest of George Floyd, and then BLM, they desecrated the shuls and the yeshivas and the stores.
That happened in 2020. Yes, my son he watched it because he lives here. He lives right off Kursan and Beverly. That has been his residence.
But now they're marching on campus and off campus.
Who are you referring to?
Well, we're talking about the Palestinian supporters and the Arabs here and the communists, right? The Marxists, the communists.
I don't know about the Marxists and the communists. No, the Arab. Did you know that there are infiltrators in the students? That their job is to, how can you say it?
Agitate, incite?
Agitate and incite.
Right.
Okay. I don't know what will be, but as far during my lifetime, I do not want a state of Palestine where Israel is. That is my personal.
Right. And if the Israeli authorities defy the U.S. administration, for instance, and anti-Semitism gets worse out here, will it be worth it?
I have no answer. You see, I have experienced anti-Semitism in this country. When I was working and I asked for my holidays off, I was not given them. So I have experienced it when I was just 20 years old. So I can tell you,
You think your son
anti-Semitism will be rising.
To an extent that it would be uncomfortable to remain in North America?
Perhaps.
So your son had the right idea.
He went there because he could not take what was happening here. And he His Columbia is his alma mater. He cannot believe it.
Columbia University in New York?
Yes, it's his alma mater. He's got a master's in education. So that's his alma mater. And he says, they don't know what they are doing. He says, they don't know the truth.
Who doesn't?
The agitators.
The agitators at Columbia.
Yes.
And all over the country, schools all over, everywhere.
They do not know the truth. Did you see once there was a, what was it? There was a young lady that was asked, why is she shouting? Why is she pro-Palestinian? She says, I don't know. I was told. You saw that?
Yes. Well, when they're alleging genocide, that Israel's committing a genocide in Gaza. But here we are, it's Holocaust Remembrance Day, Yom HaShoah, the remembrance of a true genocide is what Israel is doing to defend its people in Gaza, a true genocide, as they allege?
No, it's not.
No.
Israel is doing everything possible to protect the civilians. It's not. It is what Hamas is doing. It's Hamas. I don't believe that Israelis are capable of just having a genocide. I do not think so. I just don't think so. But that's also my opinion.
Yeah. How do you see now, compared to how Nazism grew in Eastern Europe, in Germany and Austria, for instance, how the population became convinced that the Jews were evil and deserving of punishment? Do you see that occurring now in North America and Western Europe?
Yes, I do. It's the beginning. We had 80 years of freedom. From 1944, or was it 1945 when the war ended?
Okay, 39 years. Oh, you mean 79 years? Yeah.
That's right. It's not. The anti-Semitism will grow. And Jew has always been a scapegoat. And it's not, I'm not just saying it. But Jew has always been a scapegoat.
Were the Polish Catholics anti-Semitic from the church?
Very, very much so.
You think it's still preached in the churches?
Perhaps not in the big cities, but perhaps on farms and not in suburbs, but it's still being preached.
And how about in the mosques here now?
I cannot understand the division. I really cannot understand the division between the Muslim and the Jew. But it's preached here. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Why the Muslim hate the Jews so much? I cannot figure it out. I have some very nice Muslim friends from Morocco. And I don't understand it. But on the other hand, when you think about Ben Gvir and Smotrich, I can understand it. Because you know who they are.
Yeah,
they
course.
Are the ministers. And they provoke hatred.
Or maybe they're just reacting to the hatred and trying to defend Israel.
They provoke hatred. They do provoke hatred.
Okay. But they aren't here, and the Muslims here would have your blood in the parking lot if they had an opportunity, right?
I don't know.
The ones on the campuses.
Yes, the ones on the care, but they don't even know what it is that they are representing. If they just would get, that's what my son Joshua keeps saying. He says, if they would just read history.
Well, they have their own history. They rewrote the history. They have,
They did rewrite history.
Right. They have their own version of who won each war. Right. Egypt won each war, according to them. And they have a history of the Revolutionary War in Israel.
You mean you're talking about 1948?
Exactly. Yeah. That Israel, created this.
1948 was a war for survival.
Why?
Because you've had 10 or 12 nations, Arab nations, attacking the whole country.
Did the Arabs attack Jews in Palestine even before the declaration of
There were attacks on Moshavim, on kibbutzim. Yes, there were attacks. So you are very familiar with the history, more so than I am.
Well, you lived there.
I lived there as a child for 3 years. I was a child. It was a wonderful life because in Poland I was never free. I could never go outside. Oh no, we would be thrown stones.
At you.
Yes. Oh, we couldn't go outside as children.
Even in the summer.
Even in the summer. We could not go outside. This is why when I came to Israel and I was able to run in between the buildings, even if there was no bathroom and there was no water, it was heaven.
Israel.
Yes,
Still is nice.
it's still heaven. Yes, it's.
Even for the Arabs compared to the other countries. Isn't Israel heaven?
I agree. Yes. Especially that the roommate that my son was with, working for an Israeli company, and saying that Israelis are bad. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. As I said, I don't have much say-so because at this time I live here. But when I live in Israel, I will have a say-so. I will be entitled to a say-so. Living here, I am not entitled to a say-so.
You think you'll be able to live out your entire life here in the United States the way things are going?
No, I am not planning on that.
No.
No.
Why?
I am planning to go back to Israel. It has been my plan for the past 2 years.
For the health insurance?
No, just to touch the land, just to be on the land, just to feel free. I don't feel free here. I really don't. There is no Magen David because I am afraid of wearing one.
In public?
In public. There is a mezuzah on the door, but I live in a very Jewish neighborhood.
But even in a Jewish neighborhood, you wouldn't feel comfortable wearing a chai?
But I don't remain always in the Jewish neighborhood. Let's say I go to Costco, and someone once pointed out to my Jewish Magen David. Did not like it. Because no.
What kind of person?
Afghanistan.
How did you know they were?
Because I worked at Costco. I was employed. I used to be the lady that would give out samples. You go to Costco. Okay, so I was working for a demonstration.
You were demonstrating food?
And there was so much animosity. I thought this particular person was a friend, but he said no, Israel has to be eradicated. Must be eradicated. This was 2014. That's 10 years ago.
This is when America was defending Afghanistan to make it safer from the jihadists, and now he's saying that the jihadists should conquer Israel, huh?
I don't know if he's speaking about the jihadists, but I do know that he's...
Well, who else will conquer Israel but the Muslim supremacists?
No one is going to conquer Israel. Please, you do not know our IDF. You don't know IDF. No one will conquer Israel. No one.